All right, so in this video, um, I'm just going to go into, when we're delving into these supernatural states and these experiences, the old brain that we used to live our life through, that doesn't accept these new abilities and possibilities, we need to sort of put that to one side just for a little while to have the experience to be able to change our brain long enough for us to realize that it's possible. So in the last video, I talked about the Mandela effect and how in the Mandela effect, there's all these tiny differences like that are so explainable down to, I just have a bad memory or whatever. And then people are making all these videos on how there's proof that there's been a slippage through time, and some people from an old timeline like myself have jumped into this new one, and we remember it totally differently to how the consensus is for the social mind in this reality remembers history in the way that it does, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So in order to do that, I just had a quick chat online a minute ago, more are coming in now, and they were saying, people are like, that's an interesting concept, maybe I'll have to look into it a little bit more. And I'm like, if you understood what this meant, you would be rushing home, or trying to get shit sorted out with whatever you're doing, so you could come in and focus on this. Because when you're talking about interdimensional time travel and sliding into multiple timeline realities, and you become a chrononaut where you're moving through time and space, what else is important, really? Like, what in your timeline right now is so fucking important, other than, maybe looking after the needs of a child or a sick loved one, or, closing off something that's just hanging in the air in that particular moment? What's more important to you to do than to learn how to travel into multiple timelines and hyperdimensional travel? What is more important than that? That is probably one of the most ultimate superpowers. I mean, there was a movie called, Days of Future Past or something, with Tom Cruise in it. And the whole war was hinging on this ability to be able to know what the future was and to change things before they would happen. I mean, if you think about combat with another entity, or, one-to-one, or even at a full-scale, war, a global war scale, if you had the ability to see what was going to happen in time, or to travel into different time spaces before the event happened where you were going to get hit or killed, wouldn't that be the most valuable tool, weapon in existence? I think so. So coming back to that, before you can really embrace this and start to practice it, you need to put all that disbelief of linear timeline living in three-dimensional space to one side. Okay? And you don't need to do it for very long. You just need to do it long enough to have an experience where you know that something has changed in your timeline, and that you're in a new timeline and you're in a new time-space reality. As soon as you start to do that, and that's why all these little videos of these tiny little changes in, the timelines are happening, and you see, like, the more you look into it, the more you see of it, right? And the better you get at it. So as soon as you can put that critic that won't let you accept this new possibility and reality and explain it away as woo-woo, right? As soon as you have that experience and it upgrades your mind and it shifts your energy, something really special happens, is that you start to open up to the possibility of it happening more and more, and with more frequency and with more intensity, and jumping bigger and bigger timelines. So if you can borrow my belief for a second, I I've had this very real experience of being, and it's not just that the time space reality changes and people in it behave differently and you notice the difference, but you can feel it physiologically in your body and in your psyche. Okay, some of the jumps are so big that it's like doing the what is it, the LA to Europe flight, 10 hours or whatever across the timeline. You come off the plane completely jet lagged as fuck, and you just need 2 or 3 days just to reorganize yourself because you're so discombobulated from the changes that happen. It's very similar to that. It's sometimes the jumps are so jarring that you think you're going fucking crazy. And you, like I said, you're the only one that knows that you've made the time jump. And so there's no one to really talk to about the new timeline that you're in unless someone has an understanding or an experience of it. And that it's like Marty talking to Doc in Back to the Future. He runs up to Doc, Doc, you know, I've come from the future. And he's like, great Scott, you know. He understands, even though he hasn't had the experience Marty has. He understands the concept, so then therefore he can jump on board and start helping him return to his normal timeline or move on to the next timeline. So putting a critic aside, putting your old mind aside, is a skill within itself. Like sometimes you've just got to hold it back. You know, you just got to hold. You know, like in Braveheart, you know, you're on the line, about to go into battle, and the opposing enemy is charging towards you, and he's riding the horse down the line. Go, hold, you know. Oh, sorry, he wasn't riding the horse. That's a different timeline. He's on the line. We're about to hold the spears up to the charging cavalry, and he's saying, hold, just long enough. For them to get to within striking range, and then they can flip and turn the tables and start to change the course of action, and instead of being the effect, they become the cause. So, I mean, this is a if you're a martial artist or if you're into strategy, or, you know, even chess, this is a really good tactic. The reversal, you know, flipping things on its head and you know, being the effect one moment and then switching it into being the cause. So this timeline jumping, the Mandela effect's not something that's necessarily has to happen to us. I mean, I see that the way it would have happened and is happening is that each time the collective consciousness raises its frequency, we all slip into that new frequency. And those who are able to keep their consciousness moving towards that higher state of consciousness and frequency get to come along from the ride and retain the memories of the old timelines. Once you've discharged the emotional charge to the old timeline, you're free to move in and slip into the new one. And those that can't do that remain in the timeline that's a vibrational match for them. So if you're seeing this and you're listening to this video, you are in a vibrational match where you have some sort of experience and some sort of resonance with this information, where maybe you've studied the Mandela effect a bit and now you want to know more about it. And because a lot of the stuff out there is like, oh, it's happening and this is proof and this is proof, and it's okay, great, we know now. Okay, so now what? Now what's this all about? What's it trying to tell us? Well, it's trying to tell us that we can be the cause of the jump, and we can start to navigate through multiple dimensions of hyperspace, time, and reality, and slip into observable realities that are already present in the multi-dimensional universe. So this is where it gets cool. Like, you should get out your notepad and you should start writing down what it is that you want and what you would like to change in the matrix, the glitches in the matrix, how you'd like them to change. And then start building the neural net in your mind to perceive them. And then just like all these people are perceiving all these different glitches in the matrix between, life's like a life is like a box of chocolates, or life was like a box of chocolates, whatever, and all these different glitches. Start seeing the glitches in your own life, and then start meditating and changing your energy to become a frequency match with the new timeline that you want to jump into. Now, obviously, coming from the heart center is the biggest key. If you can hold that frequency in a heightened state of love and joy, happiness, bliss. I mean, these are a bit, love and light words, but basically, if you can tune your frequency into a really high, purified, potent frequency, then that's going to attract your awareness into that multi-dimensional space, and you can arrive and put your energy, and then you start to slip into the body that is already there, and you merge with the mind that is already there. And it's a little bit like, in a good way, that film that Jet Li was in called The One, where you start to merge with yourselves through different timelines, if that makes sense. But this all goes back to presupposing that your awareness is something that is non-physical, it's more energetic in nature than physical. So anyway, there you go. There's food for thought. Get yourself out of the way. Train your body and your mind to perceive and observe the reality that you would truly like to have. And remember that, when you start jumping, it's all you, man. Like, there is no one else doing what you're doing in terms of moving and navigating through that particular pathway through the timelines like you. And no one's going to know you like you know yourself. And even when you get there to the other timeline and people are doing similar things, they're not going to have the experience of jumping from the timeline that you've jumped from. So, multi-dimensional thinking for a multi-dimensional lifestyle.